So I'm going to explore a theme of steadiness and ease this half term. And these are two concepts that are in Patanjali Sutras, the classic 2,000-year-old text on yoga. And the Sanskrit words are Sthira, which means steadiness, and also Sukha, which means softness or ease. And people like myself and Caro and other yoga teachers, we can spin out these two words to fill six weeks of classes very easily, because in Patanjali Sutras, it's mainly a discussion about the nature of the mind and meditation. So the author of those sutras says very little about how you should practice postures, which are relatively recent. Only really since the 1930s could we say that posture practice has become really big and popular. So it's relatively new if you think this text is 2,000 years old. So Sthira Sukha Asanam, this is the three words in the sutra in chapter 2, verse 46 of Patanjali Sutras. And he says the quality of posture is to have both steadiness and ease. So we're going to look at that in a number of ways, but tonight I'm going to focus on the physical body to kind of get us into this line of inquiry. And we can interpret Sthira in terms of the body as, well, I'm going to interpret it tonight as the way in which strength is equally important to flexibility in yoga, in my opinion, and lots of other people's opinion. But that doesn't mean gym strength. So I'm not going to have you doing planks and press-ups and things like that. It's about cultivating enough strength to enable you to be steady. So if we just focused on flexibility and softness, then our posture would lack the kind of foundation to have that steadiness on which the ease is built. So you need the Sthira to have the Sukha. That's the way we're going to look at it. And in each of the classes for this half term, we're going to do 2 breath practices. They'll vary a little bit from week to week, but one is going to be what I'm going to call a Sthira breath practice, which is energizing and a little bit driven, has a little bit more dynamic rhythm to it. And then a much softer breath, which you're perhaps a little more used to in this class, but one that is equally important to balance the Sthira. So we're going to start with a little bit of centering and the first breath practice. So if you like to be in any comfortable position where the spine is upright, and if you're on a mat, that's fine, just sitting cross-legged with any support you might need under the hips. Just making sure that your lumbar curve is present. So you don't want to be sitting with this part of the back flat or rounded. It needs to move inwards, because you can see as you do that, the lumbar curve presents, the spine moves deeper into the body, the shoulders and the head come back, so everything is stacked over the pelvis. And that's what gives you both steadiness and ease in your physical posture. So just feeling that, and then closing your eyes if you're happy to do so, or just have a soft downward gaze. And just take a few moments to check in with how you're feeling this evening. Notice the sensations in the body. Notice the touch of the hips on the chair or the floor. Notice the feet, the hands. Often when we are seeking to connect to this steadiness that Patanjali mentions, noticing our connection to the earth, to the ground, can be a helpful thing to do. And if you have anything going on in your body, just Notice that, bring it to your attention, resolve to work with care to support and nurture yourself rather than taking yourself anywhere that will not be helpful. So there's also a lot of intelligence implied in this idea of steadiness and ease, because it is holding two slightly opposite things in a dynamic equilibrium, trying hard enough to build the strength and the steadiness, but never letting that compromise our sense of ease, both in the body, in the breath, and in the mind. And then take your attention to your breath. Unless the nose is blocked, breathing in and out through the nose with smoothness, softness, and flow. And doing just a mini audit on your breath, whether your breath feels very free, whether the chest feels tight, whether you feel there's any kind of wheezing or inflammation going on in the lungs, or whether everything is very open and free. And trying not to judge any of that, just be aware of it, and we'll work with wherever you are right now. Okay, lovely. If you've still got your eyes closed, blinking open the eyes, and we're going to begin by bringing the palms together in front of the heart. It's a slight variation on the usual arms open, arms closed one. So what we're going to do is do our slightly more dynamic breath by really extending and stretching the arms away from us, but focusing mainly on lifting and opening the rib cage and using the diaphragm as much as possible to breathe in to a real feeling of fullness of breath, a little deeper than you would normally breathe, and then exhaling, palms together. Trying to make that exhale a little bit longer than the inhale. Now, usually if we were doing a more relaxed, slightly sattvic, sleep-inducing breath, I would get you to do this really slowly. But I'm going to instead ask you to feel as if you've got a giant pair of bellows in between the hands. So this is drawing the air into the bellows, and then you're having to squeeze the bellows closed and the air is coming out. So that just gives you that idea of air coming in and moving out rhythmically. But we're still going to do it slowly because we don't want to hyperventilate. We just want to do nice full breath in. Nice big breath out. Breath in. And breath out. One more of those. Okay, and then just pausing for a moment. Notice how you feel. When we do slightly deeper, more dynamic breathing, if you're not used to that, there will be more air moving in and out of the lungs than usual. So if you begin to feel a little bit lightheaded, then that is a little bit of hyperventilation, first symptoms of. So you would just soften a little bit the breath from that, make it slightly less dynamic. We're also going to do something else, which is, if it's safe for you, if you don't have a medical reason or high blood pressure why you can't momentarily allow the breath to have a natural pause at the end of the exhale, then don't do it if it's not helpful. But that's another way of just pausing the breath before the next inhale, knowing that plenty of air is coming in on that inhale. So there's no problem going inhale, exhale, and letting that exhale just die out to a pause. And as soon as you feel the urge to breathe in, so if you're not already doing this one, just move into this slightly extended version of what we've been doing. a nice, full, expansive inhale, filling the lungs completely, and then exhale. Pause. When you're ready, inhale. Do 2 more of those in your own time, and feel free to really explore the pause. Allow yourself to be in it and notice the very stilling moment that that pause creates, both for the body and the mind. And when you've done that second breath, just pausing for a moment, noticing how you feel. In between the deep breathing, we're going to do one more round. We do very, very light breathing, just inhale, exhale, because if I had time to sort of show you some graphs, you would see that 3 of these big inhales and exhales is usually more breath than you would breathe in 6 or 7 breaths of your normal breath. So you've got enough breath coming into the body to nourish you, and that gives you the opportunity to allow your breath to bring it under control, to experience the sensation of pausing the breath. Okay, so our last version of this, and again, some of you may have a reason that you don't want to engage the tummy muscles too much, and that could just be that you've eaten recently, or other contraindications would be anything going on medically with the abdomen, pregnancy, any other reason, or it just doesn't feel right. But what we're going to do this time is breathe in the same in-breath and breathe out. But instead of bringing the palms together, we're going to bring the palms onto the abdomen and feel that the tummy muscles are making space for the palms to sink inwards. So rather than using the palms to press the tummy in, you're drawing the abdomen in with your abdominal muscles. That ends with the pause. When you're ready to breathe in, relax the tummy muscles. We're going to do that up to 5 times. If you haven't started already, begin now. And if you are happy working with the eyes closed, do this one with the eyes closed and try to notice where you feel the drawing in apart from the abdominal muscles at the end of that exhale, because you should feel it elsewhere as well. When you get to your 5th exhale, just release the hands anywhere comfortable and keeping the eyes closed, light breathing, and just reflecting on what you feel, what you sense in your body. Often this kind of quite full dynamic breathing will lift our mood slightly, make us feel a little bit more awake, perhaps a little bit more energized. But there can be different reactions to that. Everybody is different. Lovely. And then blinking open the eyes. So we're going to let go of that very dynamic breathing, but we're going to continue with a breath that is quite full on the inhale, but now has more qualities of softness, of the sukha. And we're going to try to continue with that idea of having a slightly longer exhalation. And if the pause is happening for you, then we will continue to try to experience a pause at the end of the out breath, even if that is very, very tiny, you know, half a second. So take the arms away from the body and then breathing in, floating the arms up, keep the shoulders down. When you're ready to breathe out, turn the palms and exhale. Dropping the shoulders down, let the arms hang, pause. As you are ready to inhale, turn the palms, float the arms up. Allow yourself to become absorbed in the movement of the arms, being led by the breath. Perhaps you can just feel an essence, an imprint on the body at the end of the exhale of the sensations when you were drawing in the abdomen. That is still happening just a little bit on a subtle level. Keeping the breath soft, keeping the breath with those qualities of softness, of sukha, but not losing all the steadiness, all the sthira, all the strength that we have just cultivated by engaging our core muscles. And once more. And then at the end of the next exhale, let the arms hang, give the arms a little shake, give the shoulders a shrug. Give the arms another little shake. We're going to use a belt. If you don't have a belt, you can grab something to improvise with. Otherwise, you can still do these without a belt, it's just not quite as effective. So we'll take the belt out in front. This first couple of practices are going to feel familiar if you've been coming to class. So this is our regular shoulder release, but we're going to move on to using the belt in a slightly different way in a moment. So we're going to breathe in and take the arms nice and high, stretch the belt overhead, and then exhale and lower. So if you have any shoulder problems or just a lot of tension in the shoulders, here is fine, anywhere that's comfortable, and you may not be able to take the belt down and behind you, which we're going to do now. Or if you find that difficult, just go a little bit wider with the belt. So now we're going to breathe in, reach up, and then exhale. Take the belt behind, and really importantly, release and soften those shoulders that are now back and down. Breathing in and breathing out. If you can feel one of the elbows buckling as you do this, just go wider with the belt, have more belt, that's absolutely fine. Go right out here. And you can soften both arms a little bit. Because we definitely don't want too much strength, too much steadiness in the shoulders as we do this. We need the softness there. Because it's range of movement that this one is all about. So this is more of a sukha, a ease posture, than a strengthening one. And then next time the arms come forward, give the shoulders another little lift and roll, give the arms a shake. If you've got a belt, come a little bit narrower, so the hands are shoulder width apart or a little bit wider. If you wrap the belt once around the hands, I always do that. It's just easier to hold the belt without getting too much tension in the hands. So we're going to take the arms out in front and then just put a little bit of tension into the belt. So stretch your belt and then exhale, release, and lower the arms. So we'll do that again. I just want you to try to feel what is happening in your body as you do that. You'll feel something at the back of the shoulders, in between the shoulder blades, as the muscles there contract to draw the arms apart, being resisted by the belt. But I hope you'll always also feel that something's engaging through the center of the spine, creating that steadiness and strength in our posture. So breathing in, raising the arms and stretching the belt. Can you feel your tummy muscles just being sucked in ever so slightly, but not enough to interfere with your breath? And exhale, release. We'll just do that a couple more times. If any of you are finding that a little bit tiring, then keep the arms a little bit lower. You can do the stretching down here, or don't do as many repetitions as we are doing. So I suppose that one of the things to notice there is that some of the sthira, some of the strength and steadiness in the body is automatic. So if you were to reach up and pick a heavy item off a high shelf, these muscles will automatically engage to stabilize the center of the body. And those muscles can get weak if we do a lot of sitting around. So this is one practice we can do to reawaken them and tone and strengthen them. Lovely. Next time you lower the belt, give the shoulders one more shrug, and then we're going to just finish this section with a couple of side stretches and another shoulder release. So I'm taking the arms up high, but they could equally be here. And we're going to inhale and lengthen up, and exhale, we're going to just move over into a gentle side bend. Breathing in, coming up, and breathing out, side bend to the other side. And if you just put a little bit of stretch into the belt as you do this, it stops the arms getting as tired as they would if you weren't holding the belt. So just see how that is. If you've got high blood pressure issues, you don't want to do too many of these repetitions, or you want to do this more down here, because it is harder work for the heart to pump the blood up to high arms if we hold that for a long time. And then next time you come to center, release the arms down, release the shoulders. And then we'll finish with a little bit of a classic yoga shoulder release. So if you just hold the belt with the right hand, and again, if you haven't got a belt, it's not the end of the world. And you're going to bend the elbow and just drape the belt down the back. And then the other hand is going to come around, grab hold of the belt. And then you can take the hand at the back, so my left hand, and you can work it up the belt just as high as you want to, depending on your amount of shoulder release. So you'll end up looking something like this. And because we're exploring sthira, strength, we're going to start by stretching the belt a little bit. And this is going to feel like you're working the outside of the upper arms, which indeed you are, just working those tricep muscles a little bit. And then if we exhale into more of a sukha stretch, we just soften the arms, and maybe this high elbow will creep back a little bit further. Maybe even the hand behind will creep a little bit higher up the belt. You can just go to your comfortable range of motion in the shoulders without overdoing it. If this feels impossibly strong, it just means you're trying too hard. And this would be absolutely fine, or even this would be absolutely fine. You would still be working this shoulder, stretching the muscles here, and stretching out the triceps. Lovely. And then release the hand at the back, take the arms up, release the hands down, give the shoulders one more shrug, give the arms a shake, and then we'll come onto the other side. The shoulders can be really different, so have no expectation about getting as far as you did on the other side, or you might surprise yourself and go further. So same thing again. Work the hand up the belt. When you're in a comfortable position, exhibiting that steadiness and ease that Patanjali talks about, begin to put a little bit of tension in the belt. And perhaps this time noticing that it's not just those outer upper arm muscles, the triceps, that are working. You can also feel a bit like when we stretched the belt out in front of us, you can feel some core muscles in the abdomen engaging as you stretch the belt. And then exhaling, softening into a little bit more of a stretch, finding a comfortable place in what is notoriously an uncomfortable posture. And breathing steadily, smoothly, in and out through the nose here. Slightly longer exhale than inhale. And finding that moment of stillness at the end of the out-breath. And then stretching the arms out, release the belt, pop the belt down, give the shoulders a shrug, give the arms a shake. And our last bit of work in the chair or seated on the mat is to stretch the arms behind, coming into a little back bend. So you could hold the sides of the chair, you could even interlace the hands behind the back if that's comfortable for you, stretching back, squeezing the shoulder blades together, lifting the heart. 2 more breaths, holding that position. And on the third exhale, soften the elbows, soften the hands, release, bring the hands forward onto the thighs, slide the hands towards the knees, and slowly bowing forwards until you can tuck the chin in and just let the crown of the head hang forwards so there's no tension in the shoulders, allowing the weight of the head to lengthen the back of the neck, allowing the forward folding movement to create space in the lower back. We'd call this position a counter pose in yoga. It's usually deployed after doing something strong, like a strong back bend. So we might also think about that in terms of our 2 concepts that we do the work, we do the sthira, the steadiness, the strength building, and then we give this body, our body, a moment of sukha, of softness, stillness, sweetness, to rebalance and soften, so that we build strength through muscle tension, but then we release that tension before we move on. So we're going to come now to the mat if you're working on the mat, or if you're still working in the chair, then carry on doing that. And if you are working on the mat, taking the head onto a support, drawing the knees in, taking just a little rock from side to side, rolling the head the opposite way to the knees. And if you're in the creaky chair, just circling around. I know these videos on my YouTube channel are going to be in two categories: pre-creaky chair and post-creaky chair. Okay, so we're going to move on now. We're working towards a strength building sequence tonight. There'll be a chair version and a standing version. The next thing we're going to do is a little bit of cross crawling. So if you are on the mat with the knees bent, feet flat on the floor, feet hip width apart, arms beside the body, you're going to breathe in and take the right arm overhead and bring the left knee in and extend both in their directions of stretch, taking the leg as straight as you can, pushing the heel away, pulling the toes back, and exhaling, coming back to your starting position. So the next breath will be the left arm and the right leg. Continue with that, using your breath that is slightly longer on the exhale, dying away to the pause, so that you can be in the stretching part just that little bit longer. You're all familiar with what to do for this one if you're working in a chair. Just carry on for a couple more breaths there. And then, because we are specifically exploring this idea of Sthira tonight, of steadiness and strength, I'm going to offer just every now and then, I'm going to offer a slightly more physically challenging version that will just build a little bit more strength than usual. But you're going to listen to your own body and just do what is right for you. So when you finish the next cross crawl, you finish with the left arm and the right leg. For those who want to, we're going to do a couple of stretches with both arms and both legs coming in, creating an L shape. And as you exhale, bring the arms back, bend the knees in. It's this moment here, just before the feet touch the ground, that if you don't have engagement through the center of the body, the lower back will arch away from the floor. So we're going to keep the lower back flat on the floor as the feet touch down. Feel like you're pressing through your navel. So inhaling, big L shape with the body, and exhaling, coming down. If you've tried that, feels a little bit too strong, just come back to doing both arms and one leg at a time. If you're working in the chair, I recommend both arms and one leg. Very nice. And if you're still working, make the next exhale the last one. If you're on the mat, knees are coming in, rock from side to side, just counter pose, come back to more of a sukha, softening state. And then take the feet down. Remove anything under the back of the head. Palms flat on the floor, roll the shoulders back and down, draw the tummy in, lower back is flat. And you could just hold this position. If you don't want to work any more strongly than this, you can hold this position. Even in this position, if you touch the front of your thighs, you'll feel the front thighs are engaged, the tummy muscles are engaged. Some upper back muscles are engaged to keep the shoulders flat on the floor. If you want to go a little bit further, we're going to breathe in and just bring the back of the pelvis around about 6 inches off the mat, so not too far at all. if you get cramped like I just did then, and stretch out a leg. So by hovering the pelvis off the mat, this is like the gentle plank. So if we flipped over and we were in plank, we'd have the arms and the feet on the floor, and this part of the body would have to engage to support it so it doesn't collapse in gravity. We're creating the same thing, but from lying on our back. It's a little bit easier, but still very productive. Working that from a chair, you're just going to draw the hands back, squeeze the shoulder blades back and down, and hold position. And if you're working in a chair, you have to just be a little bit more active at drawing the tummy in. It won't happen quite as automatically as if you are on the mat. And breathe. We'll talk a little bit more in next week's class about Sthira and Sukha in terms of the breath. But essentially, when we are using a lot of muscles, doing a dynamic posture, we need the breath to have more qualities of Sthira, more steadiness, more rhythm, more dynamism. And when we're doing held, soft stretches, we need the breath to be equally soft. So we need to move between these two concepts in our breathing, as well as thinking about them in terms of the physical body. So if you haven't lowered down already, release down, draw the knees in, take another little rock from side to side. Bring the support back under the head, so the forehead is higher than the chin, or at least level with it. And then grab your belt again, take it around the right foot, and take the leg up into the air. So we often do a hamstring stretch here, and we are going to do that in a minute. But first of all, we're going to do a little bit of an upside down lunge. So you're going to use the belt to draw the right knee in towards the chest. Going to keep the sole of the foot flat and pointing up to the ceiling. And then if you want a slightly stronger experience, you're going to slide that left leg away from you, and that's going to open up the hips. If you're working in the chair, it's similar with one half of the pose. We're going to take the foot out, and then we're drawing the knee in towards the chest, but we keep the other foot exactly where it started from. You're holding quite a lot of weight here, so keep those shoulders back and down, and make sure you've got enough belt to make this comfortable. Breathe steadily here. And then we're going to move from this position into the stretch. Now, for many of you, the stretch will feel better if you rebend the left leg before you try to straighten the right leg. But if you want to work a little bit more strongly, you can keep that left leg straight. And now exhale, stretch and straighten the right leg. Inhale, let that knee come back into the lunge position. Exhale. We're doing 5 of these stretches. And at the end of the 5th breath, we're going to hold the stretch for a further 5 breaths. Inhale, exhale. When you get to the static phase, the held stretch, try to find that balance both in your intention and in your breath that has an equal amount of effort, of strength building, but also ease. So if you really push too much sthira, the leg might be shaking, the muscle might be becoming sore. If you just add in a little bit of sukha, a little bit of softness there, you'll actually get a more efficient stretch. And when you've done 5 breaths on that right leg, we're going to release the leg from the belt. And if you're on the mat, slide both legs straight. And if you're in the chair, just sit quietly with both feet on the mat. Take a moment to notice the sensations in the body, particularly the sensations in the right leg and hip compared with the left. And then we'll repeat that on the other side. So beginning with the lunge position, keeping the right leg, knee bent or leg straight, and taking 5 breaths here. And then on the next exhale, or when you finished your 5th breath, moving into the stretch. Inhale, bending the leg. Exhale, extended exhale. Maybe slight pause if you're working with that. And at the end of the 5th breath, coming into the held stretch, balancing the Sthira and Sukha, and finding that expression of space in the left leg. Keep following your own breath. When you get to the end of breath number 5, gently release that left leg. You're on the mat, slide both legs straight. If you're in the chair, sit with the feet on the mat. And just take a moment to notice the sensations in both legs. Lovely. And then bring both knees in, take a little rock from side to side. If you're in a chair, just circle around the hips, circle the upper body around the hips. And then with one hand on each knee, if you're lying down, or doing one knee at a time, if you're in a chair, a real sukha, a real softening practice, exploring our range of movement in the hips. Keep the circles slow. Keep the breath steady. Just finding a slightly bigger rotation with each breath you take. And then in the next breath or two, just think about perhaps changing the direction of your circles. Very nice. So if you just finish with the knees together, in over the chest, and now extend the arms away from you. If you're in a chair, just sit with the feet hip width, knees hip width apart, feet flat on the mat. We're going to move into a dynamic twist. But again, we're going to do it slightly differently this week to explore strength. So you're going to be really mindful here and just do very little movements from side to side. Exhale the knees about a quarter of a turn. If you think of this as 12 o'clock, you're going to go to 2 o'clock. And then inhale back to center. Exhale the other way to 10 o'clock. You can keep the head central and still, or you can roll the head the opposite way to the knees. And if you've got any reason not to work these tummy muscles strongly, then work with the feet on the floor, make it more Sukha, less Sthira. But if you're okay working here, we're just going to do a number of these repetitions to strengthen the muscles that we use in the body for these twisting movements. And some of these play a key role in spinal support, lower back support. So finding an appropriate intensity for you for this practice could really help to build that inner body strength to support your posture. If you're working in a chair, we're just rotating the upper body with the exhale, coming back. But what you can do, just to make that a little more strengthening of the core, is to hover one foot as you exhale, the shoulders one way, inhale to center, exhale the opposite way, and just regularly changing feet. As you lift that one foot, you'll feel some of the abdominal muscles drawing in just to support this extra weight in gravity, and you get more of a similar experience to those working on the mat. Lovely. And then we're going to come into a held twist now. So if you're on the mat, just take the feet down, take the knees over to the right, and then just hold that position, slightly squeezing the thighs together. If you're working in the chair, you're going to turn, and you could use the sides or the back of the chair to draw yourself around into a slightly deeper twist. This is our static twist. And this is less of the Sthira and more of the Sukha. So we've gone a little bit deeper and we need a little bit more softening energy, a little bit more of an intention of release to find as much twist as we can. Keeping the breath flowing with its own rhythm of steadiness and ease. And round about now, you've done approximately 5 breaths, coming back to center, bring the knees to center. If you're lying on the mat, take the knees over to the left. If you're in a chair, twisting to the other side. And again, just working in that twist, that held twist for 5 breaths. Very nice. And if you're still working on the next inhale, bring the knees to center, hug the knees in, rock from side to side if you are lying on the mat. And if you're in the chair, release from the twist and do a little forward fold over the midline of the body, over the thighs, and then sitting back up. So we're almost there at our little sequence we're going to do tonight, which is our kind of peak practice. We'll get there by doing a cat and then a dog. So if you are working on the mat and you're happy to work on all fours, come onto all fours, but pad the knees. If you're working in a chair, hands are going to be straight, reaching for the kneecaps. And as you breathe in, draw the hands up towards the hips, roll the shoulders back, take the heart forwards, and exhale, other direction. Slide the hands straight, tuck the chin in round the back. As much movement, softness, undulation of the spine. Remember that if you have any knee problems, instead of kneeling on the mat, come up, use the back of the chair. Keep the movements of the neck quite subtle and contained. Feel that the majority of the movement is in the thoracic spine and also quite a lot in the lumbar spine. So the chest and the lower back are moving, and the head and neck is just subtly reflecting those movements without going into hyperextension or hyperflexion. Very nice. If you've been working on all fours, just take pose of the child for a moment. If you've been working in the chair, just again, folding forwards. And if you've been using the back of the chair, just come up to standing for a moment. Give the shoulders a release, give the arms a shake. And then we're going to come into downward dog. Can't really recommend the chair version any more highly than I already do. So feel free to use the back of the chair and find the downward dog here. If you're working on the mat, then feel free to do your usual downward dog, remembering to focus on lengthening the spine, keeping a nice straight back, and not over focusing on the stretch in the back of the legs. And if you have to remain in the chair, we won't hold the downward dog. We just do a dynamic one-legged version, which is actually probably the toughest of the three practices. Very nice. Those who've been doing downward dog from the mat, take the knees down, come back into pose of the child for a moment, counter pose. If you've been using the back of the chair, just come up to standing. If you're in a chair, just coming back up to neutral. So we're going to come into our sequence. I'm going to demonstrate the standing version first, and then I will demonstrate the chair version for those who are doing it. They are slightly different tonight. Usually I try to keep them as similar as possible. So we're going to basically move in and out of the warrior one position and move in and out of a heron balance. But the difference is we're going to just string that together into a little dynamic sequence, which you will be able to remember easily. And then we can do a few repetitions. It's going to be 3 or 5 repetitions. So let's begin from standing with the palms together, and just find the feet for those who are standing. If you're in a chair, do exactly the same movements, sweeping the arms up, lifting the toes, exhaling, hands to heart, toes down, sweeping the arms up, hovering the heels, exhaling, hand to heart. One more of each. And then finding yourself standing with the feet hip width apart or a tiny bit wider, palms together. We're going to breathe in Draw the elbows and shoulders back, palms facing forwards. Breathing out, we're going to bend the knees, hands onto the thighs, and come into a forward bend that feels right for you. So if you don't want to take the head below the heart, this is absolutely fine. You can still stretch the legs. And then when you're ready to come up, bend the knees, flatten the back. Inhale, repeat the same open-hearted back bend position. This time as you exhale, you're going to step the right leg forwards. Remember, keep the feet hip width apart. If you go like this, you'll be on a tightrope. It will be a very wobbly warrior. So stepping the right foot forward, keeping it hip width apart. And this time doing the same arm movement, but bending the right knee. Show you that from the side. Exhale. And as you exhale, swapping the feet, left leg forward, right leg back. Inhale. Exhale, step the feet back. Inhale, arms come out, right knee comes up. Exhale, arms down, right foot down. Inhale, exhale. Let's do that once more together and then I'll let you have a go. Breathing in, breathing out, forward bend. Breathing in, coming up with a flat back. Breathing out, arms down, step the right leg forwards. Breathing in, bend the right knee, don't take it beyond the ankle. Exhale, arms down, change legs. Inhale, really looking for this flow here. It's dynamic, but it's steady. Arms out, raise the right knee. Arms down, lower. Left side. Exhale. And off you go again. So if you're working from standing, just carry on now. Try to do 3 more or even 5 more at your own pace. If you're waiting patiently to work in a chair, what we're going to do is breathe in and breathe out, fold forward over the thighs. Breathing in, coming up, flat back. Take that right knee out to the side into a warrior one position and exhale forwards again. Inhale, coming up. Left foot in, right foot out. Exhale. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, bring the legs back. Inhale, arms out, raise the right knee. Exhale, down. Inhale, raise the left leg. Exhale, down. And again, just continue with that sequence. Allow yourself just to drop into that sequence. Don't worry if you make any mistakes, do anything out of order, it doesn't matter. Just instead tune into the dynamic movement, try to coordinate that with your breath. Feeling a sense of sthira, of steadiness and strength as you move. But also mixing into that just a little bit of smoothness, of grace, of softness. Let's say 70% sthira, 70% steadiness, 30% softness for this strengthening, dynamic, flowing sequence. Just think about doing one more, or if you just started, make this one the last one. And when you get to the last breath of that sequence, working seated, just sit quietly with the hands resting in a comfortable position. Working standing, just take a moment to relax the arms. Stand in an easy mountain pose. Either have a soft gaze down or close the eyes and take a moment to just notice exactly how you feel after that sequence. Very good. It's time for us to move into our supported inversion and then into our relaxation. So as usual, if you're working in the chair, maybe grab another chair and put the feet up on that. If you're working on the mat, yoga block under the hips, cushion or blanket under the head, feet resting on the seat of the chair. Bring the head to center and relax, soften. As we move towards the closing stages of our practice, we're always moving into Sukha, Sukham, softness and ease. And if we think about that more from a physiological point of view, then when we're very active and we're building strength, we are deliberately creating some sympathetic stimulation to the autonomic nervous system, and then we're balancing that with the parasympathetic relaxation response so that everything comes back into balance. And actually, sometimes we're starting a class out of balance, too many stress hormones, too much sympathetic stimulation, and it's by working that side that we're able to bring it down effectively with the balancing practices at the end. So in the next breath or two, we're coming into a comfortable position for your relaxation. If you're happy with both legs straight, lying on the back, supporting yourself with any cushions, blankets. Some people like a bolster under the knees. If you need to lie on your side, you can do that. If you are remaining in the chair, just keeping the feet up and being aware that you don't want to nod off and fall out of the chair. So if you don't have armrests on the side, you're going to use the relaxation more as a guided meditation and stay awake and alert. So we'll continue to explore this idea of sthira, steadiness, strength, and its balancing force of sukha, softness and release in our relaxation. So bring your awareness to the right leg and see if you can feel as if you are engaging all the muscles of the right leg, whatever position you're in, not so much creating a big contraction in them, but just engaging as many as you can, feeling as if those muscles are active and drawing in closer to the bones of the leg and the feet. And as you breathe in, feel the strength of the leg, feel the sthira of the leg. And as you breathe out, allow the muscles, allow the leg to soften, allow the sukha to come in. And we'll do that for 2 more breaths. Inhale, right leg, engaging the muscles, feeling them drawing in towards the bones. Exhale, soften, release. And then move your attention to the left leg, working in exactly the same way for 3 breaths. Inhale, drawing in strength, the sthira, the steadiness. Exhaling into softness, sukha, release. At the end of the 3rd exhale, notice the softness, notice the release in both legs. And move your focus up to the pelvis. And again, as you breathe in, just feel that you're compacting, drawing in, engaging with all the muscles that surround your pelvis. Maybe you'll feel the pelvic structure just lifting slightly as you do that. And as you exhale and invite softness and release, sukha, feel a softening down to the ground. 2 more times in your own time. Inhale, engage, drawing in, muscles coming close into the pelvis. Exhale, soften, release. Bring your awareness to the middle part, just below the lower ribs, the soft tissues of the abdomen at the front, the lower back at the back. As you breathe in, imagine a drawing in of those structures. And as you breathe out, allow the belly to soften, allow the lower back to soften. Inhale, drawing in strength, drawing in engagement, drawing in steadiness. Exhale into softness and release. Awareness to the upper chest and the shoulders. Breathing in, feeling the rib cage expand, maybe even feeling the collarbones lifting slightly. Drawing in strength and steadiness, feeling the stretch in between the muscles, but also the strength of the muscles between each rib. And as you exhale, surrendering to gravity, the rib cage closing, narrowing, softening, and releasing. Inhale, steadiness. Exhale, softness. At the end of the next exhale, notice the sensations in the shoulders, chest, abdomen, and hips. Now bring your awareness to the right arm. Feel as if you're engaging all the muscles of the arm and the hand. Draw those muscles in close to the bones of the arm and hand. And as you exhale, soften and release. 2 more times. awareness to the left arm. Inhale, exactly the same, drawing the muscles close into the bones, engaging, not over tightening, not shortening, and exhaling, soften, release. 2 more times. Notice the sensations in the right arm. Notice the sensations in the left arm. Bring your awareness to the head, the face, the jaw. As you breathe in, just engage muscles, slightly furrow the brow, squeeze the eyes a little, clench the jaw just subtly, just slightly. And as you exhale, soften the brow, relax the eyes, relax the jaw. Allow the tongue to lie softly in the mouth. 2 more breaths. And now be aware of the whole of your body. Allow the whole of your body to sink a little deeper with each exhale into a feeling of softness, of ease, of sukha. And now deepen your breath. Become aware of the whole of your body. Wriggle the fingers, move the toes. Stretch your body in any way that feels good. And when you're ready, if you're lying on your back, bend the knees, roll onto your side. And after a breath or two, coming back to sitting either in a chair, on the floor, wherever you're comfortable. We're going to finish tonight's class with just a short breathing practice, which is a little preview of something we'll be working on in more depth in the next session. So relaxing the hands, perhaps resting the back of the hands on the thighs, palms facing upwards. If you're used to doing breathing practices, holding a hasta mudra, a hand mudra, you can bring the first finger and thumb together. Or you can work with the palms down, whatever is comfortable for you. Eyes closed or downcast, breathing in and out through the nose. But we're really going to find our sukha breath. It's a breath that is very, very light, very, very flowing, very, very soft. We're not really going to feel the rib cage moving a great deal. This is going to mainly be a movement of the diaphragm, very slowly, very lightly moving down. So perhaps you might feel the abdomen moving out as you breathe in, sinking back as you breathe out. Try to tune in to a really subtle, flowing, light breath. It's as if you are just breathing enough. The breath is perfectly adequate, but it is not unnecessarily deep. And with this soft, flowing, easeful breath comes a sensation of softening in the shoulders, the arms, the face. And at the end of the next exhale, just noticing how you feel in terms of the sensations in the body, the quality of your breathing, the clarity of the mind. And then blinking open the eyes. Thank you very much for joining me for the class.